Well, now we'll turn our attention to the younger generation. As you heard the former military head of state, military president allude to there. And we've got Abayomi Rotimi, who is the national youth leader of Nigeria Intervention Movement. Thank you for coming on this morning.
It's a privilege to sit in front of the three of you.
Clearly, there's not going to be a stroll in the park. The president has declared he will recontest in 2019. But for the younger generation, do you think that they are ready for the next political scenario?
Well, to start with, I would like to say that I was very disappointed when our president said that he was going to run for office again. And I think that it's a sad one for the country.
Why?
Commonsensically, the president should not run.
Why?
Really. One, I don't want to really beat around the bush on issues that has already been talked about. His age, for instance. The world is becoming younger. And Nigeria has over 60% of our population as young people. And I also will let you know that our younger generation are extremely skilled people. So are we saying we cannot find a viable person within the age range that has the largest portion of the population? Okay. So that's why I said that in a way, it's not really a good thing for the country, really, yes.
All right, two things. One, does that then invalidate the fact that the Constitution gives him the right?
Oh, definitely. He has his right to run. I am only saying that it is a sad thing for the country, and that's why we're going to meet it with a very strong force.
Because I was going to ask, if you say it's a sad thing for the country, is that an admittance of the fact that the younger generation will not have what it takes to match up with them?
Well, as you can see, there's been a whole lot of upheavals all over the place, and that's a good sign that Nigerian young people are waking up to the call. All we just need to do right now, and that's what the Nigerian Intervention Movement is trying to do, to galvanize all the efforts, because we cannot dissipate energy to take out a certain government. We're going to have to come together and have a meeting point. And of course, the meeting point here is to first understand who should sit on that position. I am of this opinion, and that's exactly what the Nigerian Intervention Movement sits on, that we want a president that has the 3 C's: competence, character, and compassion. This is one of the most...
What about T, track record?
Well, when we say competence, how do you judge? I'm actually going somewhere. You see, inside that competence, we have 3 things: ardent creativity, and altruistic intellectualism, and of course, optimal productivity. And that's where the track record comes from. And when we say optimal productivity, you are not the one that will tell us that you've done this. Leave us to look at the whole thing. For instance, Mr. Additional, with due respect, was saying some things, and in a way, I'm not really comfortable with what he said, because I think there is a huge disconnect between having more than 6 million farmers who are now making rice. That should actually automatically collapse the cost of rice. It should have become cheaper. So I think I have a problem with that we have more farmers that are giving us more rice, and now rice is costlier than before.
I thought he said at a point it was 20,000. Then he said now
it was 20,000.
Is it 13,000?
Maybe the only time we had rice at 20,000 is still in their government. So I've never heard of rice getting to 20,000. The only time we had it was after 2015. Now, what we are just trying to say here is this. I'm not really doing the blame game thing. I'm just saying that there is a disconnect with their own performance index and the reality in the lives of Nigerians. The level of suicide has increased, and that's to tell you that people are actually going through a lot of hardship. I, for one, I have a business, a content development business. I've closed my office down. That is me from my own angle talking. And a lot of hardworking Nigerians are finding things really very difficult. So for me, I feel that it's a huge slap on Nigerians, and we are going to really answer him very well in the 2019 election.
Let me come in here, because we have to be extremely careful how we from our words that we choose. But if you look at the age of Mr. President, which is one of the areas that you said that you're not comfortable with, and the efforts to amend the Constitution along that line, I think we've had the situation where for president you have to be 35 years of age, but it has put a lower limit. Would you like to see an amendment that puts an upper limit to who becomes president age-wise?
Definitely.
Will that help for having younger people to become president?
I think the problem, the challenge here is that of ideological, really. Because we can have an 80-something-year-old president that will still do well. When that president understands, administration and, of course, policies.
You think this president doesn't understand administration?
Oh, with due respect, I would say that we have a president that will need to study policy a lot. I think there's been a whole lot of mistakes in the administration of policies, in the implementation of policies in this country. Nigeria has some very wonderful policies. And what makes you a good president is the understanding of some of these policies. What are the ones that have not been maximized? What are the ones that have not been optimally used? What are the ones, which of the policies do we have to throw away? And in a way, I think that's what makes a good president. I don't care about the age, the understanding of, but in a situation of Nigeria where we have over 60% of people that are, younger generation, I think we might need to look into that direction to see how we can put limit to, the persons that should run for office. They can actually be good senators. They can be good special advisors. Let them come and advise us on the areas they have failed, at least. If not, because most of them have failed in, so many areas in terms of leadership. However, we must also sound a warning there that we can't just close our eyes and start saying young people should just take over and take over. There are captains of industries who are actually in their 40s, mid-40s, late 40s, mid-50s, late 50s. They've gathered a whole lot of experiences from the organized private sector, from some other areas. They could come and bring that experience into government. But to have a man who is almost 80, an octogenarian, to become the president of one of the most creative countries in the world.
But you just said that you don't have a problem with a man.
That's why I said I gave you two stands, then we can now strike an equilibrium. Now, what is the first stand? The first stand is age might not really be a problem, because we have some people who are 80-something years old and they are sound. That's the first point. My second point is we should also be careful in trying to say youth taking over, because experience has to play, and expertise has to play and all that. Now, what is the equilibrium? Nigeria is a very peculiar country. We have over 60% as young people. And on that note, I think it would be a good idea to say that those who are above 60 should please pack well.
Mr. Additional, let's get your response to this. They suggest that Mr. President will be too old if he gets in for this second term in office.
Well, thank you. It's an opinion, has a right to it. Don't begrudge him. But I've not seen in the world that has an upper limit for who can become anything. I have not seen. I stand to be corrected, but I don't know of any country that has an upper limit. I said earlier, the Tunisian president got to office at 88. And if you look at the average age of world leaders, President Trump is 71. So I don't know what they're saying. Nobody is stopping the youths, of course. The youth in any country will always have a role to play. So if the youth can get the power, it's democracy. Let them get it. But it will not be handed over on the platter of gold. When former President Buhari spoke, he spoke about the age they got to power. What he didn't add was that they shot their ways into power. Now that is not possible again, or that is not needful again. So you have to be elected. You have to convince the people to elect you. And that is what matters in a democracy.